Want to do a test run real quick?
Yeah.
Tell me when.
So, how did y'all discover that God wanted y'all to move to the Columbia area?
That's a good question, Katie. So Natalie and I are alumni from early 2000s, like 2004 to 2007. And the things God did here were really great, but we moved back to Mississippi. God had established a pretty neat ministry for us, kind of expanded pretty much. And then there was one day, it was maybe 2016 or 17, somewhere in that 17 range. I was speaking somewhere or going to, and she was like, let's just go back to CIU. We have our kids, we got 5 kids. Let's go show them the place where God really worked in our lives. And so we stayed in a little alumni hotel thing down here. And it was almost like in that moment I told Natalie, I said, I really think that God wants us to join him here. And it wasn't any like a voice like, hey, Paul. It was just more kind of a burden for the school that we didn't know. We kept up with the school since we graduated, but it was just like, you need to join us here. And so he said, this is going to be home. And so we did. We kind of went back. Long story short, we loaded up our 5 kids. Our 5th one had just been born a few months before that. Talked to the president of Forge Ministries where we work, and he said, I think it's a great idea. And so we did. We came here, and right when we moved here, COVID hit. So it's like it shut everything down for a year. I felt like God was going, wait. And then right about the time everything was opening back up, we felt like we was going, all right, get ready, And you want to take?
I think we specifically felt burdened for the students, which is also odd because we didn't know any students, and so we didn't really know what that meant or what he had in store. And we discovered there were a lot of changes at the school since we graduated, but we also had no more connections. So we were trying to figure out what does that look like. How do we even meet people? But we've done young adults ministry for the last 22 years, and we had a girl that was in our college group in Mississippi, and she ended up transferring to CIU and lived with us for a semester. And because of COVID and the churches weren't open at the time, she just invited girls in her hall to come over and do church with us on Sundays, and I'd feed them lunch. And we did that for a month or two. And then we all went back to church, and I just said, hey, I'll still feed you lunch if you want to come over. And it was literally just a handful of girls, and it multiplied fast. I think with COVID was such a weird year, our house became a place that they could feel normal again and that they could experience family. And so we went from 5 to 20 to 30 to 60 and 70 really quickly, probably breaking all of the school's COVID rules at the time. We didn't have an outbreak, which was great. So it gave us a chance to get to hear their stories and get to talk with them. Our heart beats discipleship. We want to be able to walk alongside people, and Sunday lunches became our way to meet people and way to build relationship with them. And so then we'll go meet them for coffee or have lunch or get to know them better in that way. But it was definitely not, in 22 years, that's never been something we've done in that way. No. Didn't expect God to do it that way. I laugh and tell people we can't take credit for any of it. It was God literally just brought them to our doorstep. So yeah.
Kind of a word of mouth thing. I think that, when we see so much of Jesus' ministry is done at a mealtime, at a meal table of some sort. Mm-hmm. And I think about Luke 14 when he says, my Father has a lot of room. He wants his house full, right? And I think that's kind of the biggest thing. I think it kind of became a home. There's that word that God, kind of I felt like was speaking in the beginning. It's a home. It's kind of been a home and a family for people who are, for most of everybody, away from home, right? And so it's a place they could come and, like she said, just be. And hopefully experience the joy and the presence of Jesus in the process. Yeah. So, it's been
even
fun.
Our kids, I laugh, there's students who come to the house, I know literally just to play with my children. And one day, my daughter had one of the girls, her first Sunday was like crawling on the floor. And I said, you are more than welcome to tell her no. And she just looked at me and said, I miss my siblings. And I was like, I never even thought about having younger siblings. And she goes like, there's no kids on campus. And so even little things that we don't expect or didn't think about, God was meeting a need, which was cool to watch.
That's right. When Jesus says, pray that his kingdom come, his will be done on the earth as it is in heaven. I feel like, man, a welcome home, like this thing for whoever it's coming to the house. It's like, this is God's heart. Come on in. You're welcome here. The door's open. This is a place for you to just be, to know that you're loved, that you're seen, that you're cared for. There's nothing expected of you, in this context. We just want people to know and experience the love of Christ in that. So.
I think it's been fun to watch. CIU's a smaller campus, and so I've had several students say to me they thought they knew everybody, like at least recognize people's faces. But they're like, man, I've met people at your house that I've never seen on campus until after meeting you, them at your house. So it was fun to watch how it wasn't like one big friend group. Everybody went and invited different people from all the sports teams and all the different groups on campus. I told someone, they asked about getting an invitation, and I said, I never invite them. Like, they just invite each other. Like, that literally is just God doing what he wants to do. So
it was about 5 years, I guess, maybe ago when it started. So right after we said COVID, at that time, not now, but at that time, there was even more of a disconnect between athletics and, Bible students. Everybody was separated for that reason, but also other reasons. And what we saw at the house is, like she said, you had people from every stage here, every walk here, from athletics to MKs to Bible degrees to business to everybody. It was just people, right, that needed to be loved and cared for. And so God kind of brought it together, at a time that wasn't the norm. Right now, I think it's much different in so many ways, which has been really cool to see. God kind of uniting people when there was a lot of division in lots of different ways back then.
I would say we've never owned a house until we moved here. It's the first home we've bought, and we just kind of said, God, it's yours. Do what you want to do. And I've laughed when you offer him the things that you have, and he'll use it in ways you don't expect. So after about a year, one of the students asked me, she said, Natalie, like, how are you guys going to continue to manage this many kids? Her point was we couldn't get to everybody. And so they're all there. I know their names, but I can't meet with 70 people, obviously, on a weekly basis. And so I said, real quickly, God humbled me because I felt that at the beginning. And just very clearly, God just said, Natalie, they don't all need you. And I realized he was doing things at the house that for those who needed the one-on-one conversation, they were coming to us, or he would put them on our hearts. But for others, it was the other friendships they were building at the house. They were having conversations around the table, praying for one another. It really wasn't about us necessarily, whether it was being with my kids. God was just meeting needs by providing the space. It wasn't that we had the answers necessarily.
Yeah, the focus was him. It really never was us. I remember when we were here as students, Dr. Murray, who was the president of CAU then, right? So a former president, he had a message that I'll never forget, unless I do. But hey, what's up, man? But he, from John 2, he said, whatever Jesus tells you to do it. And I feel like that
just be obedient.
Just be obedient. Just do it, right? And it may sound crazy. And our response is, we didn't start this to go, oh, we're going to have 90 kids in our home, frequently. No, none of those things were even a thought in our mind. It was just ministry, just meeting the need around you, right? And so whatever he told us to do, we just did it. Open your home, okay? and then he just took it from there. And as long as it serves his purposes and is a blessing to other people, I know he'll continue it. And it doesn't have to look the same, right? Some people say, hey, we're taking this and we're using it where God's sending us after we graduate now, or we're starting prayer groups in our home now. We're doing meals there and those things, or we're international right now. We're using your cookbook that you put out, what I'm saying, stuff like that to go. What we've seen, we want to put into practice, and so it looks different and unique, but God's doing it. So.
And expanded beyond our house because, again, because of COVID, we work for a ministry and we do a summer intense discipleship. It's always been done in Colorado. That's where our home base is, which is, as a family, that can be difficult. We would just move to Colorado for the summer, find different places to stay. And during the COVID time, we couldn't obviously do that and travel. And so Paul just kept saying, he just kept feeling like God had something for us here instead. And the rest of us didn't all see it. We didn't know what that was going to look like. Our equipment, everything's in Colorado. And after a couple of years, when we could start back again, he gave us connection here at CIU with our speaking team. And by the end of it, they were going, what can we do? Can we offer you our facilities? What do you want to do on campus? And literally just kind of opened the door for us. And so our president went, I can't tell you guys no anymore. Like, this is just too many open doors. So we moved our entire summer program here. We use CIU's facilities for part of it. And there's just been multiple other things outside of just the students for our ministry, other opportunities we just never anticipated. But
Yeah. And remember, it wasn't like we set out to go, oh, all of these things need to fall into place.
we had no plan.
We never saw that. Like, all we did was just in the moment today. This is best we can tell.
Yeah.
This is what we feel like God's asking us to do. And I think he just takes the rest because we want him to be at the center of it. This is not about us, right?
Yeah.
And this is, so many people are doing so many neat things in the name of Jesus. And he's blessing lots of things. And I said he could bless you or anybody that just says yes to him, right? As best I can tell, here you go. Right? And he'll just take it. Yeah,
I think we always want, I think ideally we would love to have a game plan, right? Like, here's the 5-10 year plan, and that's just not what you see about who God is. And you know, it's more going, obey me now, and then you'll get to see the blessings and what he wants to do afterwards. And it's always bigger than we can imagine,
right.
different than we can imagine, but always better. So,
you know, there's a lot of people with right intentions have said, hey, why don't you guys, put up photographs on, on the thing, and why don't you advertise, and why don't you, like, share what's going on? We're sharing it here with you. Only you, Katie. No, I'm just joking. But like, why don't you do that? And I said, well, number one, there wouldn't be anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that we don't look at CIU and students as like ministry. It's just family, right? It's people to love. And I think that's so much the heart of God. And so we don't go around telling everybody, hey, we're feeding 79 students. No, it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about Christ, and it's about his people that he loves deeply. And I see that so much when Paul says, I thank my God upon every time I remember you in prayer. I think that's his heart for the students here and the faculty here and the campus. And we hope that's what people experience when they come to the house as well.
I think I always just said, we didn't plan this. God put together what he wanted, and it seems to be working, so why would I touch that and try to come up with a better idea? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. So
hands off.
I feel like we just kind of get to sit and watch it, watch the ride and be a part of it, and it's been a lot of fun.